All right, let's get rolling. First thing I thought, heading into today and for the week, like obviously this game doesn't have the magnitude that we hoped it would have when the schedule came out. But at the same time, we also recognize it's really important opportunity for a lot on our roster, and so we don't take that lightly. Additionally, we did place Tyler Biotic on IR today. He had a knee and an ankle injury in the last game, and so as a result, signed Julian Good-Jones. And so I want to give you as much of the injury update as I could. And two guys I think will be long shots, not practicing today, will be Marcus with his quad and Laramie with his oblique. So glad to open up to you guys as we get rocking, but I want to give you all the info I had before we got going.
What do you think for Marcus on Sunday?
I think it's doubtful as we sit today, John, but it's still Wednesday. And so, but with this quad, and if he can accelerate and stop and start and do those things, that would be a difference. He's not able to do that today. So let's see what the next 2 days bring.
I know, like, there's still one more game left, but you talked about the winning time moments the other day and just some frustration with that. Did you do anything different preparing with that this season that would lead to it, or do you think some of that's just a natural drop-off if there was some, you know what I mean? Was it because you had a lot of success with it last year? What can you
we certainly emphasized it hard, and in some instances harder in some ways. But when you don't nail it, you want to dig deep, and certainly reflectively, I'll look back as we're looking at that about a number of other things as well in all three phases. And how do we incorporate more, train more, doing that? It's such an important piece to what we're doing, and it's the kind of the essence of winning and losing, and these gotta have it moments, how are you going to respond and play? And so it's like even in the meeting today to say that was part of the message of doing right longer when this finishing time comes, that you're able to go deliver.
Inside linebacker, when you're evaluating a guy like Jordan McGee, how do you know he's ready for that role, since it comes with the added responsibilities,
right,
with the green dot,
sure,
if he doesn't do it in game?
Yeah. The part that you want to do is, like, how do you train somebody into that space? And some of it is in practice you have a number of them that can have it on, so they're hearing my communication. So what we would never want is on the first time you heard it, like, oh, that's what Dan sounds like, or that's what it sounds like. And so you go through that process in the practice. So when he takes his reps in the practice, if he was with the second or the third group, it's the same exact process that I would do with Wags. Hey, this down and distance, remind this player, alert for this. So there's a little bit of directing that comes of it. Think if you were a quarterback in the huddle and you want to give one more reminder before you broke out to somebody, you would tell them that. That's sometimes what I'm telling that person to do into that spot. And then going in, you want to find out, did they do it in college and signals? And now it'll be different, I suppose, because that's been an additional thing that they're doing that we haven't done before. But just the leading part of it, I think that's the big thing, the vocal part of it. Doesn't mean you have to be loud and rah-rah, but you have to be somebody that can take command, that can give information quickly. And not all linebackers can do that. There's been times where I've had safeties more into that space that, in fact, had the green dot. We've done it with the linebackers here, but at other teams, I've done it with the safety having it as well.
What did you see from him in college that made you feel like he could take on that bigger role? And then what have you seen from him since?
Yeah, I think the traits I saw first as the ball player, number one, the speed, him being square at linebacker, his closing ability. Adam has a cool ranking service of, like, as you get into this part of the draft, like, who's the one person that you want on your team, and he asks all the scouts before the day even begins. And he was the first one of that group that, like, he said it. And so I thought that's a pretty good sign about the traits that were shown about him. It's harder to know in the process, okay, I see him calling it, leading it, doing those things. But if you get on the board, you see his football acumen, then you could we'll develop him into that.
We've seen Brandon Coleman, start the season at left guard, but, start the last couple of games at left tackle. And
yep,
as you said, Mike get another shot to do that this week. What have you seen? What sort of growth have you seen from him? And even though he's probably playing a position that wouldn't be there in the future, how do you kind of evaluate what his status might be for the team?
Yeah, we had a good talk. Yes, I'm glad you brought up Brandon about the timing and the information. And so he did start the first two games at left guard, and that timing's different. He missed a good bit of training camp in terms of the punch timing and where to go. And so then being out, Chris jumped in, and then we started moving him at other spots, including like a jumbo tight end. So I think what he's shown, and he's learned a lot here in year 2, one about himself, like this is a resilient guy that can, do a lot of things based on his athleticism. Him learning and going through the hard moments, it sucks when you're going through it, but it also, you gain some confidence knowing there's a number of things I can do. We saw him snap and pull in practice the other day and said, like makes it look easy and that type of athleticism. But I think it's the resilience that he's shown this year when it hasn't gone right, that you still find the lessons in it.
I feel like we haven't talked about Duran a lot recently. How would you evaluate his season as a whole to this point?
Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way into later on, and we'll get plenty of time to hit onto that. But from the very beginning, Duran, I thought, really came in making his mark from off-season through training camp to go. I always feel his stoutness at the line of scrimmage, whether it's holding a double team, getting knocked back. He's got quickness and movement, so I've been pleased with a number of things I've seen from him.
Off the top, you mentioned the magnitude of this game and had visions of this having more magnitude on the season. When the schedule came out, it sounds like Philly might rest a bunch of starters, including quarterback. If that's the case, is that another shot to the magnitude of this game, or does that change anything for you guys?
Not for us. By no means are we at full strength, nor are most teams in the NFL during Week 18. But what I do love is the number of guys that are really hungry for this opportunity, chance to compete together. We had so many players miss time that they want a chance to express themselves and to prove it. And so when you miss games and stretches of games, man, you're hungry for that competition, you're hungry for that space. And so in our league, we practice way more than we play. And so they want to be able to go play. And I love that about our guys. So we had a hard battle with them 2 weeks ago, and I expect another hard battle Sunday. And, that's kind of how I see it.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
I know you guys do everything you can to kind of keep every week the same, but context always matters, I think, and this week is obviously different for unfortunate reasons.
Yes.
How do you acknowledge that, or do you try not to acknowledge that and try to keep everything cookie cutter as you get to the end of the season?
I think it's fair to acknowledge it, also, David, and acknowledge that it's different, but also the process that we have to go through to get ourselves completely ready, that has to be consistent. And so I wanted to talk about both the difficult part, that no team's the same year to year, and so for some players, opportunity to go do it together, that's a big deal. And a football brotherhood is different, and it's close, and they connect. And so I want to acknowledge that not every team's the same year to year, but of all the unseen work and long rehab times, of the things that go unseen, that's not unseen by me. I notice it, I see it, I like to acknowledge it, but it is different. But I just pushed him, man, let's throw a hell of a week and play in a style and a finish that we'd all really like. So that was really the messaging behind it.
Coach, just kind of based on that, when you see this team take the field for the final time this weekend, what do you envision that pregame message being to them?
Yeah, I think just honestly, the opportunity to go compete. This group has been hungry to go do that. And so there are some chances for others that are, here that weren't there earlier. And so I like seeing some of those guys taking their shot, making plays, doing things for themselves to express it. I also like seeing some of the guys who have come back, who missed time and man, they're here to prove it. So I think there'll be a lot of excitement. There'll be, a good intensity about us, heading into it. But also, definitely bittersweet, because it didn't, go like we wanted to. But that's the circumstances, and you fight your way through it. And when you get a chance to compete together, man, you let it rip and go for it in a big way.
Hey, Dan. A lot of moments this season, turning points, as you were. When Dorrance got hurt in Week 7, that's kind of when the losing streak really kind of ramped up. How do you quantify the loss, losing him at that point, and then also do you have any kind of rehab update for him?
Sure. Yeah. DA's he's such a unique player. He can play inside, he can play outside, and when we can feature him in different over different spots, that's when he can really come to life with his game. Rehab-wise, he's doing well, and so he's here. He's putting in that work, with the training staff here. So I got a chance to visit with some just last week, for extended time, and so to see him doing this well made me happy. Man, we definitely miss him. Guys like he and Wise provide totally different skill sets, but like a lot to our team. And so just being here and being around some of the guys, that helps quite a bit.
You emphasized pre-snap penalties before the season started. You seemed to be something that was a particular focus for you. You guys have struggled, though, in that area this year. What do you kind of make of that, from the emphasis to the execution?
Yeah, I would say it's between that and the ball, the turnover margin for us. I would say, Ben, those were the two ires, like that it's not quite improved in the way that we need to play winning football. And so I get, and you've heard me say this before, I get when there's a physical foul and it's a grab, you don't like them, but I understand that's a quick call. I thought there was a call on Jeremy Reeves in the end zone the other day. He would do exactly like I would coach him to do, of hitting somebody through the strike zone with your shoulder, and you can still get called for a foul. Like that's just like, man, the game goes fast. Like, how could anybody get every call right? But the ones that we can control at the line of scrimmage, that's a big deal. And we definitely harped on certain ones to go, and Brandon's had a couple in the last, couple games. So those are some things, man, like this, we have to get it right. We worked hard on the cadence piece. I thought, all right, got better, then it went down again. And so it's like one of those things that like always needs the attention. And as far as the turnover margin, man, that one obviously is like the most disappointing one for us, the emphasis of how we want to go after it and take care of it, and that needs a lot of work.
So playing off the young guy stuff, when you talk about Jordan, knowing when he's ready to handle a different role, and how do you assess, like for some other rookies, like a guy like Kane, who we haven't seen on defense, to know when is he ready to go out there, and what is the harm in maybe putting him out there if you're not sure where if he's ready or not? Like, how do you determine that?
Yeah, I get the insight of the practice too, and the one thing that's been good, John, having a chance to make your mark, and you, and for those who've been around the league enough, like there's a development that goes in special teams that does carry over. And so for me, I've seen that take place for him, the physicality, the techniques. And so on the defensive side, I think he's got a unique skill set based on his speed and his length. And I just, it's interesting you brought him up. I had a meeting with him yesterday to say, like, you can make the play there and over there. I want you to really stretch yourself to see how far your range can go, because he's learned it. He's picking up things quickly. He's one of the first backups that would go into that space, and I like what we've seen. The development on special teams has been a big part of that, showing the willingness to learn it. But I thought linebacker-wise, Ale is one, Kane's one, that are making their mark on that side that I think carries over onto the defensive side. Additionally, we put these guys in practice that are not part of just look teams, that they're getting meaningful reps, that they have to demonstrate that. And if they don't get any more of those reps. So it's like, show you got it, show you can develop. And I've been pleased with the two of them so far. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good one.